Welcome back. Welcome all to this sacred time and space. Welcome to our annual multi-generational water ceremony. Welcome to the Reverend Linda Susan, our new minister. Her first time leading us in worship. This all feels so hopeful. And we need hope now. The poet Wallace Stevens wrote, "Human nature is like water. It takes the shape of its container." So we return, like water always does, to this container, albeit a virtual one, our spiritual home, beginning together a new and renewed spiritual journey.
Some will try to convince you that a drop of water is inconsequential, that the drip, drip, drip means nothing. But we have seen caverns and canyons. We know what it is to reshape the earth together. They try to reduce the high-piled clouds into mere cuteness and fluffy irrelevance. But we have flown through them in planes, batted around the sky like a cat's toy. We know when we're faced with forces greater than ourselves. They try to instill fear of the ocean, going far beyond the necessary deep respect. But we have felt its sway and pull in our bodies, ebbing and flowing, rising and crashing. We know how to listen to its wisdom. They will turn the heat up on us, making life as we've known it no longer possible. But we know how to gather our power. We know how to shift and find new forms. They'll try to make us disappear. They don't know we'll return as a storm. Welcome to this sacred time together.
Fire and water, ancient opposites. Sun and ocean, the cradle of life.
Dancing flame and dancing river, we invoke them together today, as we kindle our chalice flame.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart, in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind, There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Not too far from here, a single drop of water sat on a leaf in a forest after a rainstorm. The drop was reflecting on its time here on Earth. It had existed for millions of years, and in those years, the drop had seen it all. Times of stillness, times of chaos, times of ebb and times of flow. There had been floods, droughts, and everything in between. The water drop had flowed in rivers and oceans. This drop had evaporated up into clouds and had remained perfectly still in meditation for thousands of years inside ice glaciers. This drop had quenched the thirst of countless living things and sat underground in deep limestone pools, eventually drawn up and into the outside world again, where the cycle repeated itself seemingly without end. This drop had been everywhere, and after all this time it was feeling tired and a bit worried about the future. While the drop itself remained unchanged, great changes were happening in the world around. The drop found itself carrying more dirt, chemicals, and pollution up to the sky and back down into waterways than ever before. It found itself spending less time in rolling rivers and deep ocean currents and more time trapped in plastic bottles on shelves, mixed with sugar and artificial colors. Ugh. There were more storms swirling it around violently, and fewer gentle mists depositing the drop on epiphytes. And even the time that it spent in underground pools and tall glaciers was shorter, barely enough to settle into stillness. Everything, it seemed, was getting faster and louder as the water drop had found itself appearing more and more in TikTok videos and viral challenges. Many in the vastly connected world of water were beginning to feel that it was no longer safe to flow freely wherever gravity took it. Articles in leading newspapers like The Current and The Tributary began warning drops everywhere to begin distancing themselves from factories and farms, from people and faucets. Because you just didn't know what might befall water these days. For the last few months, when drops had fallen from the sky, they had been more hesitant to flow together into streams. You could feel the surface tension between them and see them struggling against the instincts that they had lived by since time began. It felt wrong. It felt isolating. But it was for the best, they all knew. So, this one drop, on that one leaf, did something that no drop had tried before. When it evaporated in sunlight and rose skyward that afternoon, it didn't stop at the cloud. It kept going, rising through the air, turning to ice, escaping gravity like no other drop in history. And this little drop flew all the way out into space. There, the drop said to itself, how's that for social distancing? It was a cold, open universe out there, full of unexplored expanse, where no drop had gone before. For a while, the drop was happier than ever. It meditated. It basked in quiet. It waved at passing asteroids and caught a comet by the tail. This was an exciting ride. It was faster than any waterfall or rainstorm. The comet seemed to know where it was going, so the drop held on, riding it so close to the sun, it almost lost itself. But at the last minute, it turned around and began to fly away again. The time away from Earth was good, was healing, and was just a little bit lonely. The drop had never felt safer from harm, but was starting to feel the emptiness of space around it. It began to miss the vast aqua community back home. The drop recalled what it felt like to flow with countless others in the ancient rhythm of rocky streams. It remembered free falling down waterfalls. It smiled with the memory of being pushed through the gills of a prehistoric shark, delivering a shimmering gift of oxygen to her as it passed through. Perhaps the time had come to reconnect. Perhaps the life of a distant wanderer was not what the drop needed after all. So as the comet passed Venus and headed back into Earth's celestial neighborhood, the drop let go, aiming itself at the atmosphere. And once again, through some unexplained magic, this drop fell down, 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 until it found itself on a leaf in a forest, not too far from here. The drop was glad to be back on the leaf. It knew that it was too soon to jump back into the river, but it knew also that there were plenty of ways to connect safely with the world around. My friends, we are water. We are drops that have flowed, flooded, evaporated, and fallen to earth in gentle drizzle. We have sat still in the heart of glaciers, dreaming of change. This feels like a time when we are fighting against gravity, pulled towards community and the sharing of space, even as we know that we must keep each other safe through distance. Yet we do not need to bottle ourselves up. We do not need to block rivers from flowing. We are water. so we can take the shape of the world we live in. There is room on our leaves and in our forests for many drops to sit at a distance, to sparkle and admire each other's shine. We can seek ways to connect like clouds do. One shape made of many drops, with room to pass between and among. We can be together today in this sacred space, nourished by the water that has roamed every corner of this planet, and sustained by our myriad ancestors, sharing itself with all, even as it beads apart on the surface of a single leaf in a forest far away and so close to home.
Our offering. This congregation needs us. Our larger community, our country, the world needs us. In our congregation's time of renewed hope, starting our congregational life with a new minister, let us remember that we are a faith community. And though our faith in humanity may be being challenged in these disquieting times, let us heed the wisdom of Mahatma Gandhi. You must not lose faith in humanity. Humanity is an ocean. If a few drops of the ocean are dirty, the ocean does not become dirty. Please offer as many drops of monetary generosity as you are able. Maybe we can create a wave.
I invite you into a spirit of meditation, prayer, or contemplation of ultimate things. Water transforms. It takes the shape of the container it's in, but it also has the power to change the course of rivers. It can warm us up or cool us down. It has the rare property of expanding when it freezes. We humans are about 60% water. Even our bones are watery. Is it under any wonder that we are constantly transforming too? In a service about water, we remember those in Flint, Michigan, who still live with lead pipes 6 years after the crisis began. We think of Baltimore public schools and the students there who don't have safe drinking water in their buildings. We bear witness to the destruction caused by flooding from Hurricane Laura and by wildfires stemming from dry conditions. Water reshapes lives, whether from the lack of it or the overwhelming abundance of it. As we spend some time in silence, I invite you to pay attention to the water within you, around you, and beyond you, and to let yourself follow where it leads. Returning from the silence, ground yourself in your body once more. May we carry the shimmer of water within us. Amen, and blessed be.
Good morning. My name is Pat Gregg, and I am a member of the Pastoral Care Committee. At this time, we share the joys and sorrows that have been sent to us to be included in our service. Today, we have an announcement that has elements of both joy and sorrow. Carol Wade is inviting us to share in a celebration of life memorial service for Dan Wade, her husband of 54 years, who died in May. This celebration of life will be on Saturday, September 19th at 2 p.m., and the details of the Zoom connection for this service will be forthcoming. I now invite you to join me in holding in our hearts the joy and sorrow of those around you, and to reflect on the joys and sorrows that you are experiencing in your own life by closing your eyes and going inward if you are comfortable doing so. Remembering that you can reach out for support and connection at any time by contacting the Pastoral Care Team.
Today marks the beginning of a new congregational year. Now, usually, an in-gathering service like this would find hundreds of people coming through the doors, greeting each other excitedly, finding a seat in the sanctuary, maybe settling into the children's area, or reading the order of service, or just enjoying a quiet moment of centering. And no doubt I, as your new minister, would have scores of people coming up to me to shake my hand and welcome me to USNH. The excitement in the building, the energy would be palpable. But nothing in 2020 is usual. I'm recording this ahead of time in an empty space. You're participating through a screen, either by yourself or with a small handful of others. This isn't what we'd choose, but this is what we have. And so we look for the gifts within it. We're still breathing. We're able to connect through some incredible technology that not too long ago was pure Star Trek. This spiritual community still exists, committed to keeping everyone safe. Now, before we formally kick off this year, we're going to close a loop on last year. As most of you know, Reverend John Marsh wasn't able to end his time as interim minister the way he usually would because of health reasons. Again, nothing about 2020 is usual. And so today, we release the covenant that you made together a year ago. He was with you in your grief and bewilderment, and rejoiced with you during times of celebration. He listened to you and preached from his heart. He helped you in your quest for justice and equal opportunity for all people, and represented our faith here and beyond. And he cared for you as he cared for himself. John offers these words in return to you. A year ago, I presented my walking stick to the president of your board. It is a symbol that I came among you not to settle, but only to be with you for a defined time, which has come to an end. It is now time for me to symbolically take back my walking stick. Time for us to forgive each other our shortcomings and exchange our farewell blessings. This congregation will always have a special place in my heart. I wish you all good things in the future. May this ritual represent a joyful and formal release of your journey together as congregation and minister. John and his family are still in town, and you may wind up interacting with them from time to time. Please know that John and I are in covenant as colleagues, always aiming for what's best for USNH. Today, the water we gather only looks separate. A bowl in one kitchen, a little vial of it next to someone else's laptop, a sippy cup balanced on the edge of a table. But as Jesse mentioned in the message for all water has been everywhere. It reminds us that we're always connected, even when we feel most alone. In this bowl, I've poured some of the water kept by ministers of this congregation from past water ceremonies. It links us to all that comes before. Now, at this point, I'd usually ask people to come forward and add their water to the bowl, but as I think I may have mentioned, nothing about 2020 is usual. But that doesn't mean it can't be meaningful. And to that end, some of you have sent in photos of yourself with water, which we have woven into this slideshow. Finally, I offer this water on behalf of the entire community. All water is sacred, and we are water taking the shape of the world we live in. After the service, after social hour, I invite you to pour water in the place where you live. Maybe that's in your garden, or in the grass outside your apartment building, or into the plant on your windowsill. Because all water has already been everywhere, that water already carries some of USNH with it, and will one day return here again. Never doubt that we touch each other's lives, no matter the distance between us. As this community gathers for an unusual new year, may our joy flow easily. May our tears be cleansing. May our courage help us through the rapids. And may our love for each other and this world guide us toward the horizon. Amen, and blessed be.
There's a river of my people, and its flow is swift and strong, flowing to some mighty ocean, though its course is deep and long. Flowing to some mighty ocean, though its course is deep and long. You will find us in the mainstream, steering surely through the foam. Far beyond the raging waters, we can see our certain home. Far beyond the raging waters, we can see our certain home. For we have mapped this river, and we know its mighty force, and the courage that this gives us will hold us to our course. And the courage that this gives us will hold us to our course.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Friends, we may be in separate locations right now, but we are always woven together and connected back to a single source. As you move through your lives, do so with courage and with kindness, and be a blessing to the world. Amen, and blessed be.